Good morning, my dear students, and a very warm welcome to all of you in this special revision sessions. As you already know that the revision is going on, and in our today's session we are going to see the revision of biology. We are going to now start on with the biology revision. Now, friends, biology is such a subject where you need to learn more and more. Yes, there are few of the topics. See, let me explain it to you. When we bifurcate the science, then you already know that science is basically bifurcated into three parts, which is physics, chemistry and biology. If we talk about physics, then if you're understanding the concepts and like some of the equations only you have to see it again and again, no need for more revision. Sometimes if your basic math is good, then this is not a major issue. Chemistry, you have to learn some of, but yet in term 1 there is not much to learn. Coming to biology, then this is the thing that you need to revise again and again. You know why? Because you have learnt it, but there are some of the things which it will take time for you to memorize it again. So how do we need to revise biology? Biology needs to be revised frequently. Again and again if you will revise, then and only then the things will become more and more good for you. So my dear friends, it is very necessary that you learn it properly. And hence, in the revision session, we will see this only, that how can you learn more and more. Okay, we'll try to revise the topic twice or thrice in the lecture only, so that it remains in your brain. Be in the lecture itself. Okay, don't move here and there. This is the lesson, which is cell structure and function. Structure of the cell and the function of the cell. Basically, if I talk about the structure and the function, then this is how the structure is, which have already started. These things are not at all new for you, first of all. Okay, don't think that ma'am is going a bit quickly. This is the revision session, so I am going a bit quickly. Here you can see all the various parts of the cell: the nucleus, the cytoplasm, the mitochondria, this microtubules, the lysosomes, the endoplasmic reticulum, smooth as well as rough, centriole, which depicts that it is an animal cell, nucleus, nucleolus, chromatin, nucleopore, nuclear envelope, all these are parts of nucleus. Golgi complex, that is the Golgi body, which you can see over here. Rough endoplasmic reticulum, that is over here, that is containing the ribosomes, plasma membrane and mitochondria. This is how the whole of the structure of the cell, and all these parts we are going to study in detail. Yes, we are not going to study about the centriole. You are right, we are not going to study about it. Let's move further. How is the cell? You already have learnt that you can compare cell with a house. Okay, as in the house there are many different places where various things are being done, like for example, for all the waste removal, you are having a place; for making the food, you are having a place; for resting, you are having a place. In the same way, cell is also having a particular place for everything. Okay, so what is cell? It's like a house, because multiple functions and take more like it is happening, and more than one things are operating over here. So a house is just as complex a structure like the cell is. This is about the basic thing, that is cell. All the living things, they are made up of cells. So all the living forms are composed of microscopic units, and what is microscopic units called as cell. So what is cell? It is the basic structural and functional unit of life. If we talk about the two words, that is cytology and cell biology, which is given as same in your textbook, but there is a major difference between them. If you are talking only about the composition of the cell and the structure, then it is cytology. If you are talking about the functions, then it is cell biology. Yes, these two terms are different, which people mean to be same. Once again, cytology and cell biology. When it's structure and composition, then it is cytology. When it's structure as well as functions, at that time it is cell biology. This is how they are differing from each other. Moving further on the discovery of cell, you already know about this particular personality, which is Robert Hooke, who had observed the slice of the cork and he saw the, when he observed, it was somewhat something like this. He saw a honeycomb structure like this, made up of hexagons. He saw the empty boxes like this, and also the nucleus was observed. This is enlarging. So in this way, nucleus is observed. So he saw the row of empty boxes, and this is how he defined the term, that is cell. So he observed it and he mentioned about it in his book, that is called as micrographia. And he used this term because it meant the empty room. Once again, who was the first person to discover cell? It was Robert Hooke. What he observed? He observed the slices of cork. Cork is the outer layer of the tree. What did he saw? He saw the row of empty boxes like it's given over here, and which means and then he gave the term, that is cell, which means empty room. And he has mentioned about all these things in his book, which is called as micrographia. Micro means small and graphia means handwriting. Okay, let's move further on the next particular things. Then some of the very important things, you have to memorize this. It was Calvin and Scalding who said that all living things are made up of cells. Then it was Rudolf Virchow who said that all cells come from pre-existing cells. And the term protoplasm was given by Purkinje. Once again, the total concept of cell theory. Okay, cell, basic structural and functional unit of life. After that, what do we discuss? We discussed about the difference between cell biology and cytology. After that, we discussed about the we discussed about the discovery of cells, and now we are discussing cell theory. What is cell theory? Important point. It was Skyven and Skelding stated that all living things are made up of cells. Rudolf Virchow, he stated that all cells come from pre-existing cells. Okay, अचानक से कोई सेल आ नहीं जाता है कहीं से भी. It is from the pre-existing cells they are making them. Then protoplasm was coined by Purkinje. Very important point. Quickly write it. You have to write it because writing will make, if you write once, you will be able to learn it quickly. You'll be able to grasp it quickly. Note it down, then we'll move further. Be quick, fast. Write it once more. Quickly write it once more. I hope you have noted down this. Now let's move further on the next particular topic, that is the principles of cell theory. Moving on the further topics, that is the principles of cell theory. These are the principles of cell theory. That is, all living things are made up of cells. Smallest unit of structure, the living unit of structure is called as cell. And all cells arise from pre-existing cells. But this principle is discarded in case of spontaneous generation. Now, what is the meaning of the word spontaneous generation? We have studied that right now, that just now when we were studying this, the statement of Rudolf Virchow that all cells come from the pre-existing cells. This is one of the principles of the cell theory. But in case of spontaneous generation, it is discarded. Now, what is spontaneous generation? With the help of non-living matter, the living matter comes into existence. Now, you might be thinking, how is that possible? Yes, that is possible, and that is called as spontaneous generation. So, in the case of spontaneous generation, this concept that all cells arise from pre-existing cells is discarded. So once again, let us memorize the principles of cell theory. Which are the principles of cell theory? The principles of cell theory are: all living things are made up of cells. Smallest living unit of structure and function of the organism is called as cells. All the cells come from pre-existing cells, and this concept is discarded in case of spontaneous generation. Once again, from the beginning, cell is made up of cell. What is cell? It is the basic structural and functional unit of life. What is study of structure and composition of the cell called as? It is called as cytology. And what is the structure as well as function study called as? It's called as cell biology. Next is the discovery of the cell. It was Robert Hooke who observed the silver cocks and Then he saw the row of the empty boxes. This is what he observed, and this is how he gave the concept of cell, and he coined the term cell, which means empty room, and he has mentioned about it in his book that is called as Micrographia. Then we discuss this cell theory. Scriven and Skeldon, they say that all living things come from are made up of cells. Then it was Rudolf Virchow who stated that all living things come from pre-existing cells. Term protoplasm was given by Purkinje. Then the principles of cell theory, very important principles. All living things are made up of cells. Smallest unit of structure and function of all the organism is the cell. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. In case of spontaneous generation, this concept is discarded. Note it down, then we'll move further. Quick. Let's move further on cell size and cell shape. The various different cell sizes and cell shapes we will be seeing. Here you can see how it does look like. Typical plant cell, its size is from 10 to 100 micrometer. The chloroplast is of 10 to 10 micrometer. The hen's egg, it is 65 millimeter. Neuron, it is 70 micrometer. E. coli bacteria 1 to 5 micrometer. Tobacco mosaic virus, it is 300 nanometer, that means very small. Bacteriophage, you have studied about this in your, means you have just seen it as one of the pick in your class 8 textbook. Bacteriophage, which is 225 nanometer long. DNA molecule, 2 nanometer, and 1 nanometer is 10 raised to minus 9 meter. 1 micrometer is 10 raised to minus 6 meter. 1 millimeter is 10 raised to minus 3 meter. ये भी आपको याद होना चाहिए. It's very much essential. This you have to remember. 1 micrometer, 10 raised to minus 6 meter. 1 nanometer, 10 raised to minus 9 meter. 1 millimeter is 10 raised to minus 3 meter. So this is how it is getting bifurcated. Then HIV virus, it is of 100 nanometer. Chlamydomonas, which is the green algae, 5 to 6 nanometer. Then protozoa, which is about 25 micrometer. Okay, note down only this much, these 3 lines. Quick, then we'll move further. Be quick, so that you learn all the concepts over here only in this lecture only. So I hope you have noted it. Then comes cell shape. Cells are of various shapes, and its shape is depending on the structure, on the function of it, sorry. So more good the function, however is the function, accordingly it is having its shape. Generally the cells are spherical, but they may be elongated. An example of it is the nerve cell. They may be branched. Example is the pigmented cell. They may be discoidal, that is the disc-like structure, which is RBC. They may be spindle shaped, that is the muscle cell. Try to recall how was the muscle cell. Okay, this way. So that is the spindle shaped. Depending on the function, we are having the shape of the cell. Then comes cell size. This is again the thing that you have to memorize. Okay, ये इतना तो रट्टा मारना पड़ेगा. You have no options. Human liver 20 micrometer, RBC 7 micrometer, acid double area 10 centimeter. The largest cell, which is the ostrich egg, 50 centimeter. Longest nerve cell, it is of 1 meter or more. The smallest cell that are known up till today are PPLO, which is about 0.1 micrometer in diameter, and human egg, which is 0.1 millimeter in diameter. DIA stands for diameter. This is what you have to learn by heart. Once again, human liver 20 micrometer, RBC to 7 micrometer, acid double area 10 centimeter. The largest cell, ostrich egg. What is its dimension? Of about 50 centimeter. The longest cell, it is the nerve cell, about up to 1 meter or more its length is. Then the smallest known cells are PPLO, which is 0.1 micrometer in diameter. Human egg, it is 0.1 millimeter in diameter. So this is what you have to write and learn. Write it just now, quick, and if possible revise it 4 to 5 times. Then comes the next topic, which is the characteristics of cell. If we talk about the characteristics of cell, then any cell is basically containing 3 things, that is the surrounding membrane, the protoplasm, and the organelles. The basic control center with DNA is the nucleus, which is present in it. These are the things that are present in the cell. If we talk about the cell types on the basis of organization, then there are 4 types, which is prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic means what? Basically, there are 2 types of cells, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. If it is having well-defined nucleus, then it is eukaryotic. Well-defined organelles, then it is eukaryotic. But if instead of nucleus it is having only DNA or RNA material, then you can call it as the prokaryotic. So this is what is the difference between the prokaryotic and eukaryotic. The first type of cells that arise on the earth, the cell type of bacteria and archaea, it is this prokaryotes. This way it is, instead of nucleus, what it is having? Nucleoid. And this is how is the structure of it. These are ribosomes. This is its flagellum. This is its basal body, the capsule in which everything is getting holded. Then this is its cell wall, and inside it you are having the cell membrane or the plasma membrane. So this is about the prokaryotic. This is important thing about the prokaryotic cells. It is having no membrane bound nucleus, nucleoid, which is the devoid of nucleus, nucleoid devoid of nucleus. That means it is having all the DNA concentrations, and organelles are not bound by membranes. Then comes eukaryotic cells. If we talk about the eukaryotic cells, the nucleus bound by membrane. It is, the nucleus is having a membrane. What is included in it? Fungi, Protista, Plantae and Animalia, all are included. If we talk about the basic classification, then when you will study chapter number next chapter, that is the diversity of living organisms, at that time you will see that all the living entities divided into 5 kingdoms. Okay, that is this: bacteria, fungi, Protista, then Plantae and Animalia. So this is about the 5 kingdoms, and in this 5 kingdoms, bacteria is prokaryote, while the other all are eukaryotes. So that is what we discussed right now. Eukaryotic, they are having the nucleus, and it is including fungi, Protista, plant and animal cells. It may possess organelles. Before we move further, just once again read this. Only read, I am not asking you to write. Read this. The next one. Then next, organism, if we talk on the base number of cells, then it is bifurcated as unicellular and multicellular. If we talk about the unicellular, then those organisms that are having just one single cell to perform all the functions of the life, they are called as unicellular. For example, this amoeba, this paramecium. Then all the rest of the things, they come under the category of multicellular. Yes, the multicellular organisms are those organisms which are having many different organs for performing various functions. So on the number of cells, it is bifurcated into 2 types, which is unicellular and multicellular. Next, the characteristics of the cell we have already discussed. It is containing these things. If we talk about protoplasm, then what is protoplasm? It is cytoplasm, which is containing, actually these 2 terms are also different, cytoplasm and protoplasm, but for class 9 we'll take both of them as same. These are the things that are having various chemicals like water, iron, salts and other organic molecules like protein, carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids and vitamins. All these things are present in the protoplasm. If we talk about the organelles, then the structure of all the organelles and cell structures, how is cell functioning, it is depending on the organelles, the various organelles which we are going to study. But before that, first one, the cell membrane. What is cell membrane? As we are comparing each and everything of a cell with respect to the house, then the wall can be called as the cell membrane. Cell membrane or plasma membrane, you can see over here, it is containing double layer of phospholipids, that is 75% of it, and proteins. Try to look over here, this is the bilipid layer. Why it is called as bilipid? क्योंकि 2 layers हैं, एक ऊपर and एक नीचे, like this it is. This way whole of the layer is there, and there are two types of proteins inside it. One which is totally inside is called as intrinsic protein. One which is outside, that is called as extrinsic protein. The proteins are embedded in it, એની અંદર બીડાયેલા છે, and so only this model of the plasma membrane is also called as fluid mosaic membrane. Fluid mosaic model. Mosaic એટલે કે like you know in any of the thing એની અંદર like stones ને એવું બધું હોય કોઈ બી વસ્તુમાં તો એની અંદર બીડાયેલા હોય, like that. Mosaic means embedded in it. So here you are having two types of protein, which is intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic means the one which is inside totally, and extrinsic means which is somewhere somehow lying outside, and this is its bilipid layer. And here it is, very important part. Here you can see molecules of H2O, NH3, CO2, O2, they are able to come inside also, and they are able to go outside also. Hydrocarbon, they are only coming inside. Glucose, it cannot come inside, while these ions also cannot come inside, but the ion will be able to come by active transport. Yes, when we will study active transport, at that time we will study that how the ions are coming inside the plasma membrane. So this is very important thing, extremely important. Hydrocarbons, glucose, ions, and this uncharged molecules, note down which can come inside and which cannot. This is what you have to keep the picture in your brain. Okay, H2O, NH3, CO2, O2, avard javard. Hydrocarbon, only avard, no javard. Glucose, no avard javard, and all the ions, no avard javard. Okay, so any of the charged molecule is not allowed. Hydrocarbon not allowed, glucose not allowed, only water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and ammonia. Quick, note down this. Just write which things can come and which things can come as well as go, and which things are not allowed. Moving further on, the movement across the plasma membrane. If we talk about the plasma membrane, only few molecules can move freely, that is water, carbon dioxide, ammonia, and oxygen, that you have already written. Carrier proteins transport some molecules, and proteins are embedded in the bilipid layer, they are intrinsic and extrinsic, which you already saw how it is. Coming to fluid mosaic model, it is describing the fluid nature. Functions. It is giving shape to the cell, compartmentalizes the cell content. એટલે કે compartment means what? Means it is separating. So the cell content, two cell contents, they get separated because of the plasma membrane, because there are many cells. Okay, so there is no jagda in between. Then comes it forms next part. It forms junction, that is the plasmodesmata with the neighboring cells. So for example, this is okay over here. This is the plasma, one cell, another cell. Between two cell, there is layer of all the things, and there is a junction between the two cells, that is called as plasmodesmata. Selective permeable membrane. That means it is not going to allow all the things to enter inside the cell. Okay. For example, if any thief is coming at your home, you will say like they are been आइए पधारिए. No, you won't say. आइए पधारिए is to be said only to few personalities. So that is what I'm trying to explain you out. It is the selective permeable membrane. That means it will allow entry and exit of only certain molecules and not all the molecules. Next is it is helping in the tissue formation. Functions are very important of all the organelles or all the parts. Okay, anywhere, anything from the functions can come. So whenever it is the question regarding the functions, and you have to memorize also, and you have to note it down also. Note down this quick. Be quick. Few functions are only there. Write it properly and also learn it. The next topic is the molecule movement in the cell. If we talk about the molecule movement, then whenever the molecules are going from one place to another, then there are three ways, that is passive transport, active transport, and bulk transport. But its important thing is it is maintaining homeostasis. Now what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is the inner functions remain as it is irrespective of whatever is happening outside. For example, try to recall, we have already done this. The cell, inside it there are various things, mitochondria is there, it is doing its own function. Then all the organelles are there, vacuole is there, or anything. Whatever is occurring outside the cell over here, with that inner functions will not at all get like inner functions will not get disturbed. That is what it is maintaining homeostasis. Once again, what is homeostasis? Homeostasis means that whatever may happen outside the cell, but inside the cell there will be no problems because of it. Okay, coming to the next part, the movement, it is of three types, which we did. It is active transport that needs energy, passive transport which doesn't require energy, and bulk transport. Means in very large proportion. Bulk means what? Zyada proportion mein, in more proportion. If we talk about the active transport, then it needs energy. Passive transport doesn't need energy. Example of it is diffusion and osmosis. Diffusion you have already done in your lower standards. Sorry, in your chapter number 1. The diffusion, whole of the concept of how the diffusion is occurring in the gases and the liquids and the solids, all three things have been done in chemistry. Osmosis we will do, means we will revise, we have done. Bulk transport, it is of again two types. Either things will come inside or go outside. So it is either endocytosis or exocytosis. If we talk about endocytosis, then that is again of two types. Okay, in more proportion anything can come inside, that is khawanu and pivanu both. So it is cell feeding or cell drinking, which is phagocytosis and pinocytosis. Okay, so this is about whole of the movement. Read it, only read it. So I hope you have read this content, and in our next lecture we are going to move further, because the transports are, especially if we talk about osmosis, then osmosis is a bit lengthy topic which we'll carry forward in our next particular revision lecture. I hope you are able to recall all the things, because a long time ago we had done all these things, so it's better that you revise, because as I stated, in biology you need to memorize more. So that's all for today. Learn the topics very well. That's all for today. Thank you so much and have a very good day. Bye bye.